My beautiful people of Earth, welcome to, oh geez, on episode eight, issue eight? Eight. It's got to be right. Even if it isn't. Welcome to this one, to what you're currently watching. So I think today's episode is super fun, mainly because like my line I give everybody these days is artists love deadlines. And that's dark as fuck in this context, but I'm serious. Like, it's so great having, I mean, not a literal deadline, but just needing to plan. I enjoy planning. I like making lists, that kind of nerd. Anyway, today we're going to do my bucket list. It's going to be achievable-ish and fantasy stuff because I have very highly developed dark humor sensibilities these days. Okay, let's jump right into it. Number one, obviously, I got a cheat sheet right here, so if I'm looking down. Also, my sister is working like right there across the table, so I find it impossible that she's not gonna just start talking or chewing or interrupting or trying to edit me while I'm doing this, because I love her and she really likes to just boss me the fuck around. Okay, so number one, bam. Getting Leopold and Brink Mega. That's my, no matter how much time I have left, if it's like 14 minutes, I want Leopold and Brink to be a thing. I wanted them to like save the fucking world by branding environmental consciousness back in the early days, but even if they can just kind of vaguely push, in the way that, for instance, I'm an enormous Star Trek fanatic, and in the way that show really made it just continues to make an impact on especially nerds, but like, it's something to aspire to, and that was the point of it. And like, that's what I want for Leopold and Brink, is like not for people to become Leopold and Brink, but to care about caring at the very least. Okay, so that's an easy one. And when I say achievable-ish, like, who the fuck knows how anyone's art project is going to come off in the universe. But I'm putting it on this list. I'm not even putting it in the fantasy section. This is my goddamn goal, and it's the point of this video series, and it's the point of my life. Okay, number two, whales. You've obviously must know by now that I'm an enormous nerd, but I'm also a big geek for certain things. One of those things is The Prisoner, which is that 1960s, late 60s TV show by Patrick McGoohan. And I'm going to describe each of these a little bit just because, I'm a nerd. So Patrick McGoohan was in a show called Danger Man. He was actually offered the role to play James Bond. And he's like, nah, I know this dude, Sean Connery. And so he did end up doing kind of a James Bondy TV show, and it was hugely popular. So like when it went off the air, he was offered like another show, and he's like, well, I have this idea. And so he created this crazy, watch The Prisoner, it's very interesting. I actually kind of like fundamentally disagree with Patrick McGoohan's philosophy, sort of. I have some big ideas about libertarians and existentialists. I'm not a fan of either, but I respect his work, and the show is incredible and interesting. It's super weird, but as a geek for it, there's a festival every year in Port Marion where he actually shot it, and I would really love to attend. I've never been. Also, never been to Wales. Number three, also in Wales, Doctor Who. I'm a Doctor Who Vian, whatever it's called. I love the new iteration of the show. I was Baker's my doctor. I watched as a kid in the 70s. Number four, I loved the look of Zanzibar, and I've always wanted to visit, but I did some stupid Googling that just kind of got my family and me paranoid about health stuff there. So that's scratched, unfortunately, for now. Also, because of my treatments, I got to be real careful. Like when I have time off, I get like 6 weeks getting blasted and then 4 weeks off. And I think that cycle goes for a while, but that means I got to be, super careful about planning my time. Okay. And then Iceland. That'll stop this section for a second, and then we'll go over to fantasy stuff. Iceland, because Iceland, look at it. I'm dying to see that place. Look at that place. Okay. So now over to the fantasy section. I put Brink's house near this town called Squamish in British Columbia. British Columbia? Yeah, it's above Whistler, which is above Vancouver. And I always wanted me and my sister and her boyfriend to retire there. I mean, hopefully they still can. As an American, you can't, but so I wouldn't pull something off to make that happen. But it's gorgeous, and at the very least, I'd like to visit again. If you ever have a chance, drive up the 15 in the USA. You get some gorgeous, amazing, incredible national parks, and then you just keep going into Canada. And the drive between the Banff and Jasper, holy shit, gorgeous, life-changingly beautiful. Okay, second one in the fantasy section, meet Kanzi. Remember I said Kanzi is the bonobo who I wished, is a real bonobo who I wished was Brink's dad, or, sperm contributor. I have to be perfectly honest, I don't even know if Kanzi's still alive. I guess heard somehow, but I'd love to meet him. Anyway, number 3, talk to Frans de Waal, who writes a lot about bonobos, knows a lot about them, and seems like a really cool guy. I've read most of his books, so I feel like I've had a lot of conversations with him. But talk about it. I want to meet Einstein. Like, I always wanted to talk to E.O. Wilson. I want to talk to a bunch of people. This guy is the scholar of choice for me now. Okay, let's jump back over to the achievable-ish. Horses. I had a wealthy father for a few years, and he indulged my mom and got us horses. So, I was a spoiled little kid, and I had 2 horses, stallions, one named Stormy, the other named Solitaire. I vaguely recall interacting with them a couple times, but I was I was a big horse girl right out the gate, and I miss them desperately, and I want to see horses again. I don't mean to see, I want to spend some sweet petting time with horses before I die. That seems very doable. Oh shit. I forgot about this one. I've put it up, so it's too late, but we'll just move past it real quick, and maybe we'll explain it with the... Okay, yeah. So this next one, it's been a while, guys. I think that's probably why I got brain cancer. So, have plenty of sex. Do have sex. It's very healthy for you. I'm, of course, joking. It's not the reason I got brain cancer, but it's been way too long since I've had a date, let alone that. So that would be nice, obviously, before I die. And you know what? I will tell you the story of the one before that, because it's funny. It's not just a fetish. And it relates to Leopold Ring 5, which is great, because I wrote my mother, who I was estranged with since I was 9 years old, died in 2013. And she died a couple weeks after my half-sister's son died. And that happened a week after my cat/son, Solomon, check out Hoboxia.com, died. So it was a brutal stretch of time for me, and I just face planted for most of 2013. And to get myself out of it, I started to really do a lot of autobiographical thinking, and just look at what happened, and why do I feel this way about all this stuff? And it wasn't just mourning. It was like I needed to really reach into myself to figure out what was going on. So I just straight up started writing an autobiography, which is essentially what Leopold Ring 5 is. But I thought, oh, here's a fun way to do it. I'll kind of make it an autobiographical novel, and because I have this joke, it's a joke based on this funny fetish I have, and it's not that one. It's sorry, it's not this one. I've always been into women with a large upper dentition. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I don't mean buck teeth, or like what Robert Crumb, he said he liked Bugs Bunny when he was a kid. Just this, I can't remember a good example of an actor that has it, but there are a few. Anyway, it was just I just really reacted to it. And I was like, where in the world did that come from? Why? What? And so I thought of a funny answer, which is, my mother was a super horse girl, had one named Pepper that was her best friend. The whole family had several horses. They traded horses. They were a real farmy kind of household. This is in North Miami back in the 50s and 50s. And it occurred to me that I've never had an Oedipal complex. Like I thought, my mother was not my mother at some point, so I probably should have. But she was never she was attractive, but she was never attracted to me, and she was also like quite overweight. So and a junkie, and like there's a lot of stuff to be turned off by. Anyway, but I thought, well, let's say that is always going on at some level. Maybe oh right. Also, like she didn't have the teeth, and she had narrow hips, so it was like she was just not my type at all. Anyway, but maybe I combined her with horses and created this hilarious chimera, which I don't know, maybe that led to Brink somehow. But it was my kind of joke MacGuffin that carried my autobiographical novel through, and I like paid off the joke at the end of the novel. So how does that relate to the? Oh, I guess just because I don't know why that is a turn on for me. I'm talking about you know what that means if you know what that means. Otherwise, just ignore it. Let's jump back over to the fantasy section. All right, yeah, this is a cool one. Get Peter Weir and or Alfonso Cuarón to direct the first 3 Leopold and Brink movies. I love those guys. When I came to LA as an 18-year-old, I wanted Peter Weir to direct my first screenplay, The Angel of Promise. Fantasy, but hell, man, if you guys are available and if you like what you've heard at all, let's talk. Okay. Oh yeah, I am a huge fan of. I have a few books of this comic publisher named Nobrow, and here's a couple books by them. They just do some gorgeous stuff, and I would just love. I don't think Leopold and Brink is appropriate for them, but I would love to do something with them before I go out. I just think they're a beautiful publisher. I mean, I'd like to publish with a lot of folks, but I just dig all their books. Okay, back over to Achievable-ish. France, Angoulême. I have done the Angoulême show twice, but never in a kind of an official capacity. I'm just visiting with the comics I was doing at the time. I put out this comic in January of 2000 because I wanted to have a thing published for January 2000. It just sounded super cool. And I brought that to Angoulême, and it wasn't, nobody knew I was coming or whatever. So I made enough friends to kind of sell it on a table for a little bit, but whatever, it wasn't popular. But it's all right. You can buy that occasionally from eBay. And the first story is the writing is quite lovely in the first story. The art's not that great. The cover's cool. And I created some cool characters in the logo on the cover, which I'm still quite proud of, including Monkeybot. I think that's where Monkeybot didn't first show up because Monkeybot's from Leopold and Brink, but that might be the first cover appearance of Monkeybot. Okay, and now, other big, there's a lot of cool comic shows I haven't done. In fact, part of the Getting Lab Mega, Leopold and Brink Mega, is I would love to do an international book tour for Leopold and Brink 5, this project. I hope, I would love to go out doing that. What a great, fun, amazing, because I've never been a known cartoonist. I've never really achieved much in that field, even though it's kind of the medium and art form I've given my life to. I don't mean all my time or effort, but like my heart probably, and certainly now my effort and heart. Okay, now more stuff. There's a bunch of really good movies I haven't seen. I have a friend, I won't mention his name to not embarrass him, but he's an amazing editor at Disney now. I'm very proud of him. And he turned me on to that app, Letterboxd. And I'm going through putting all the films I've seen. I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen that. And there's just like probably hundreds of really good films I haven't seen. So I should probably work on that a little because, that was my medium and I love it and silly. And I guess there's a bunch of books I haven't read. I should. So time consuming. Yeah, oh my God. I'm kidding. I'm the worst writer because I don't read enough. I've read a lot, but I'm one of those like, I like nonfiction. I was just going to be a philosopher. So like, it was silly. It was stupid of me. So yeah, there's tons of reading I should still do. But anyway. What else we got? Oh yeah, Grease. Okay, I've never been to Greece anywhere. I've been close, but I've been to Greece, and it's ridiculous the amount of research I've done and the amount of writing I've done about it, including modern Athens, which is part of the, Leopold and Brink novel, or storyline, period. Oh, because the story involves, I told you that Brink, saves Los Angeles and redesigns it as a green city. Well, Athens has invited Brink to help them redesign Athens and environs. And so, like, the first novel is their Lysistrata simulation adventure plus the redesign and creation of Athens. So I would love to do like a Leopold and Brink tour of Greece, but also a philosopher's tour because, there's a lot of cool spots that anyway, it's obvious. Okay, I'm definitely not going to finish my PhD. I didn't really start it because although I took a bunch of seminars in philosophy, I was really still working on my undergrad, and it was just a big mess. That's a lot of time. And then, I was on the phone with Peter Singer once, and I'm like, oh, you think I should finish? He's like, no, there's no reason. I was working on the study lab books. He was considering being in my ethics issue. And, he's like, no, if you can talk about philosophy, you don't need the credentials and this and that. Like, I regret that because I was still youngish at that point. Anyway, but I've always wanted to write this paper, how to have ethics without free will. And that's a obviously long conversation, but I think it's doable. Okay, back over to fun fantasy stuff. Yeah, obviously, I want to travel back in time and become the Steely Dan of the 90s. I'm an enormous Steely Dan fan, and I listen to him too much, probably. But I just see that making sense to me for some reason. Like, music is the huge regret in my life. That's not on my list anywhere. I don't have the fucking time for that now. But that would have been fun. I think that was missing, and there was room for it. Anyway, yeah, I would love fucking to get everyone to stop using the word race. Everyone, even if you use it as a defense mechanism, unfortunately. I think it's a terrible strategy. That's a massive subject matter I'll maybe talk about again one day. Okay, back over to achievable-ish. This is important. Probably should be on the top of the list. Help Joanne retire perfectly. Now, my sister sitting over there, her life goal has been to retire. She once told me that she regretted never knowing that the military had an early retirement, or she would have definitely joined. People don't come any better than her, but she's never been an ambitious person and just likes chilling and napping, and she's a cat. She's essentially a cat. And so, she saved my life twice now, and even if she hadn't, my goal is to make her as happy as possible. So I want to make sure she's got a pension with UCLA, and it's coming up on time where she can fucking start chilling, and I gotta hang on long enough to see her do that comfortably and safely. Okay. On that note, her sister, and I call her my sister too, Jane. It's been a while since she's been to Japan, and I've been once, and it was super fun. And Jane's a super geek, and I want to go toy shopping with her, and a lot of graphic design shopping for me. I like toys, but I think we'll split our time doing that. Hopefully I can pull that off. And unfortunately, now that I fucked up my DNA, I really would have liked to help with Japan's population problem, but alas, I cannot. And yes, I had a police cover band in high school. I'm sorry. It was a lot of fun, and I sort of sounded like Sting. My voice was much higher, and I really enjoyed it. I played a couple instruments in it, very, low-key talent-wise. But anyway, I love music, and I just never spent enough time with it. Okay, back to fantasy. Yes, attend Starfleet Academy and helm a starship. And while I was in the hospital, I thought about this a lot because I was out of my mind. And I just had this feeling that Starfleet Academy was imminent, like it was going to really happen. And I Googled, just on a hunch, Elon Musk Starfleet Academy. And lo and behold, that dude is thinking about it and bugging Starforce about it. Starforce? Is that what it's called? And the Air Force, and like whatever. I figured like if any moron on Earth is going to be into that, it's going to be one of these rich billionaire egomaniac space lovers. So whatever, pay for it, do all you want, stay out of the rest of it, please, Elon. But I was like, shit, I'm too old to join the military. How in the world can I join Starfleet Academy if it happens? I'm like, oh, I will get the PhD, and then I will teach there, and then if again, I wasn't, this wasn't fantasizing. I thought that was going to happen. So I'm like, maybe medical technology will actually get to the point where I can kind of de-age enough or get healthy enough to properly join the military, and then kind of backdoor my way into an officer position on a ship, if not, fucking helming a starship. Ridiculous, I know, but it was such a fun fantasy. Okay, now, on that note, and my Trekkiness, and I'm going to actually do an episode about what Star Trek did to me. There is one episode that explains it all. I don't know the rules on YouTube. Anyway, I'll work it out, but we'll at least talk about it. Okay, so last one on the achievable list is, what I mean by this phrase is, I consider Joanne and her boyfriend Charlie, who's way back there, I call them my kids. They're younger than me. They're definitely more sister and brother. But here's the story of how they met. I had an apartment with Joanne, we're brother and sister, on Sawtell in West LA. She's been working for UCLA for over 20 years. And she would take a really long bus line to work. And and she would come home every day and say, there's a really cute guy on the bus. And I'm like, okay, time to get you a boyfriend. And, I encouraged her to talk to him and that. And, he worked in her office, so like she had access and stuff, more than just the weird bus ride. But the Star Trek convention was coming up. And I'm like, oh, there's no way your friend's not a flaming geek. So I want you to invite him to the Star Trek convention. I'm going to chaperone you two. And we went, and they've never been apart since. It took them a little while to like officially start dating after that, but it was obvious to me that like these two are made for each other, and Trek is like our, the hearth that brought us all together. And so I'm like, well, it's time for you guys to get married. Yes, am I in charge of this? Sure, of course. They don't give a shit. They thought, oh, it's probably a good idea for financial reasons to get married, and this and that. But they don't really care. But I'm like, let's do this and have a full-on theme thing. And like the people we invited, they're not obligated to cosplay or anything. But I am gonna do the best I can to get them married on the bridge anyway. I look forward to that. That's more than achievable-ish, I think. Okay, and this is tongue-in-cheek, obviously, but my last fantasy one is I'd like to live long enough to watch Florida sink. And I don't want anyone to get hurt, obviously. They will need to be refugees that maybe some state will take. I mean, Florida people, I'm one of them, I get it. I don't know who would want us, but it's always been real trippy to me that the town I grew up in is gonna be in Atlantis. Like it will be underwater one day. It's wild. Anyway, I don't know how many of us alive today are gonna live to see that, but it'd be kind of wild. That is my list. And if you guys have more suggestions, the crazy thing about, I asked a few people like, what do they suggest and this and that, and a lot of stuff, my reaction was like, oh no, I guess I've just lived plenty. I've done so many things. I've been so many places. It's really great. Like, I've whined and complained and been depressed most of my life, but I've done a lot of cool shit. And I hope you guys do too. You really need to live your lives and do what you like and be nice to people, every possibility you get. And then that opens up worlds to you. It's just that this can be such a great place. I will see you next time. I hope that was interesting. And I got oh yeah, I don't know if you guys, there's the box that's behind Sulis here. Oh, by the way, that's MonkeyBot as well. Boop. Sorry, Sulis, I'm not trying to touch your boob. But I'm gonna do an unboxing video like people like. I've seen one accidentally probably, but it's gonna be fun to open up that box, which has never been opened up. And of course I know what's in it, but that should be a fun one. Okay, I will see you next time. Have a lovely day and week. I'll see you Monday. Love to you.